It started with one photo, not even a clear one, just a dim, slightly tilted shot of what looked like Park Jimin sitting across from someone at a small restaurant in Hannam. The angle was off, the lighting soft and yellow, and the background almost empty. No name of the place, no official paparazzi tags, no other recognizable faces. But the build, the hair, the way he held his hand against his cheek, it was enough for a fan account to post with the caption, "Is that Jimin? Looks like him. But why here?" The restaurant wasn't flashy, more like a local spot you pass without noticing. It didn't match the places idols are usually seen. No fans outside, no mirrored walls, no private room signs. Just a quiet booth in the back. The girl, and fans immediately locked onto the shape of her shoulder, the vague outline of her profile, wasn't a celebrity. No stylized hair, no lenses, no oversized hoodie to blend in. She looked ordinary, which made it worse. The conversation between them didn't look dramatic or tense. No gestures, no leaning in, no visible conflict or emotion. Just talking. Calm, steady, unbothered. That was the problem. Too calm, too steady. As if they weren't worried someone might see. And someone did. That first photo led to another, then a blurry video from across the street. Taken too quickly, handshaking, but enough to catch a laugh. Maybe hers, maybe his. Fans froze the frame where his hand moved slightly over the table. Not touching, just near. Comments piled up. "He should have known better. Why that place?" Even if it's nothing, it's not nothing here. The timeline blew up, not because it was dramatic, but because it wasn't. No disguise, no security, no urgency. Just Jimin, in a space too public to ignore, too quiet to justify, and too open to explain. By morning, the discussion had shifted. It wasn't about who the girl was. That faded fast, drowned under something more uncomfortable. Fans began pulling up maps of the area. The restaurant, it turned out, wasn't far from Hybe's office, but also not near any usual idol hangouts. It wasn't a spot known for privacy or late-night security. Someone noted that it closes early, meaning they were likely there well before sunset. Broad daylight. A thread appeared analyzing shadows in the window. "This wasn't late," it said. "This was around 6. Another pointed out that the table they were sitting at was in full view of the street. No curtains, no divider, just glass. "So they wanted to be seen?" someone asked, and the reply split instantly. Some insisted it was accidental, a bad choice, a lapse in judgment. Others weren't convinced. "He's not new. He knows how this works." And then came the first deleted tweet. A user who claimed they saw them with their own eyes, walking in together. No masks, no rush. The tweet vanished within an hour, but screenshots remained. It was that detail, no masks, that lit the match. Even if they weren't doing anything wrong, why that level of openness? Why sit in the most visible corner, in a nearly empty restaurant, and not attempt to hide? He could have waited 10 minutes, someone wrote, or asked for a back table. The sense of unease spread like static. Not betrayal, confusion, not heartbreak, dissonance. It wasn't jealousy that stirred fans. It was something harder to define. A crack in the rhythm. A scene that didn't align with the logic they'd come to expect. He wasn't supposed to be there like that. Not like this. Not when people still look. Not when we're still watching. The third wave hit when someone uploaded a soundless 6-second clip. Phone tilted slightly, caught from a passing bus, showing the pair exiting. No physical contact, no rush. Just Jimin stepping out first, the girl a moment behind, adjusting her sleeve. He glanced to the left, not even toward the camera, just toward the street. But it was too early. That half-second look, that moment before he was fully out the door, caught the flash of movement. A phone rising, a pause in footsteps. He saw it. He had to see it. But he didn't turn back, didn't cover his face, didn't acknowledge. He just kept walking. And that, more than anything, pulled the thread tighter. "He noticed," someone tweeted. "He knew and kept going." Screenshots of the clip flooded Stan accounts, dissected frame by frame. The expressionless exit, the timing of the glance, the lack of reaction. It wasn't normal. It was too poised to be unaware, too neutral to be accidental. "It's not what he did," one post read. "It's how he didn't react." By now, the conversation wasn't even about the girl anymore. She became background noise. Every detail of the scene, the table, the light, the angle of his chair, the time they left, had been charted and archived. The moment became a geometry problem. He sat facing the street, someone noted. It's the most visible position. That's not passive. Others tried to deflect. Maybe it was a meeting. Maybe she worked at the label. Maybe it was coincidence. But the replies always circle back to the same question. Then why there? Not just a public space, but an unprotected one. One fan wrote, "He wasn't hiding. That's what's off. He wasn't hiding at all." Theories tangled into each other. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about secrecy. It was about exposure, chosen exposure. And the more fans tried to make it logical, the more it refused to sit still. The tone shifted again by evening. Quieter now, but colder. Not dramatic, not explosive. Just sharp, clinical. As if fans were no longer trying to understand, but dissect. Accounts that usually posted fan cams and edits began pulling security footage angles from nearby cafes. A time-stamped receipt was shared from someone who claimed to have been in the restaurant 2 hours earlier. A grainy photo of the entrance, supposedly taken that same day, was reposted with arrows pointing to which tables were visible from which side. "This wasn't a mistake," someone captioned. "This was placement." Others chimed in with timelines. Jimin had no scheduled activities that day. No flights, no live broadcasts, no rehearsals. He was free. That detail, instead of providing comfort, made it worse. So he chose this day, this time, this place. Fans began revisiting old interviews, searching for mentions of the restaurant, of routines, of hints they might have missed. One thread gathered 5 photos of Jimin in similar outfits, comparing timestamps and shadows, trying to prove this wasn't recent. What if it's old? But that theory cracked when someone recognized the girl's bag, a recent model, released just 3 months ago. The noise escalated again, not into chaos, but into obsession. It wasn't who he was with. It was how visible he let it be. A fan-run translation account deleted 3 posts without explanation, then went private. Another major fan page, one with over 1 million followers, issued a vague tweet. "Sometimes you need to step back to protect what matters." It wasn't an accusation. It wasn't even disappointment. It was confusion, calcified into distance. A comment under that tweet read, "It's not that he owes us anything. It's that he knows how this looks. He's not new." The silence from official channels only made it worse. No denials, no explanations. Just a growing space where uncertainty festered. More fans began switching their profile pictures to black. Not in protest, but as a kind of pause. A collective withdrawal. "I don't know what to feel," one post read. "But I don't want to see him in my feed right now." And just like that, the mood turned. Not rage, not grief, but a kind of sterile detachment. As if the connection between idol and fandom had stuttered. Not broken, but misaligned. Not because he did something wrong, but because he did something visible. Deliberately visible, and left no space for them to follow. By the next morning, it wasn't confined to Twitter anymore. Instagram fan pages were archiving and deleting simultaneously. Some removing all recent posts of Jimin without comment. Others uploading the restaurant clip in slowed-down versions with captions like, "You saw it too, right? And not like this." Tumblr threads began cataloging the shift in tone, the moment when curiosity curdled into discomfort. One post, reblogged over 30,000 times, simply said, "It's not her. It's not them. It's the fact that we were still here, and he didn't act like we were." The discussion had stopped being about dinner, or routine, or dating. It had become about presence, proximity. The strange, dissonant feeling of watching someone you followed for years behave as if your gaze, which had always been part of the equation, suddenly didn't exist. A fan who had been outside the area that night posted a shaky video from a crosswalk. In the background, barely in frame, a figure that looked like Jimin walks past, head down, hands in pockets. The audio is mostly traffic noise, but one voice, maybe hers, says something quiet. He doesn't respond, doesn't pause, just walks. The post's caption read, "There were people across the street. He saw. He kept walking." It wasn't defiance. It wasn't indifference. It was the absence of acknowledgement that struck hardest. For years, fans had accepted a delicate choreography. Privacy with discretion, presence with context, exposure with caution. But this moment broke the pattern. It didn't follow the rules, even the unspoken ones. The restaurant was too open, the timing too early, the exit too unguarded. It wasn't a scandal. It was a rupture in ritual. And the response wasn't fury or betrayal. It was silence. Muted group chats, paused projects, header images changed to blank colors. The most shared post of the day said only, "He could have waited 10 minutes, or picked the table near the wall. That's all. That's literally all." No one was asking for explanations anymore. They weren't demanding to know who she was. The collective focus had narrowed to the action itself, the where and when, not the who or why. This wasn't about secrets. It was about context, about a breach of the unspoken contract that fans didn't even realize they were upholding until it cracked. And when the clip made it onto K-pop reaction channels, when it reached corners of TikTok, where fandom etiquette is looser and tone more mocking, the final line was crossed. The story was no longer theirs to discuss privately. It had escaped, and with it, the possibility of pretending nothing had happened. Not because of what he did, but because of where he did it, and how many of them were still standing there, watching, waiting, thinking he would look up. But he never did.